Welcome back to another Broken Podcast. I'm Nick Taylor. Today we're going to be diving into a topic that's very close to my heart and has played a big role in how some people see the world: neurodivergence. Let me start with this question. Have you ever felt like you see the world through a different lens? Something along the lines of being in the middle of a conversation, and while others would have quickly picked up on social cues, instead you're noticing the tiny details, the texture of the sound, the rhythm of the speaker's voice, things that seem to slip right by for everyone else. It may appear to be both a source of wonder and confusion. There might be more to how you process the world in a beautiful and uniquely intricate way. So, what exactly is neurodivergence? In simple terms, it's an umbrella term of the range of neurological differences that can include autism, ADHD, dyslexia, Tourette's, and others. It's not about being disordered or less than, it's about understanding that our brains work in varied and unique ways. While neurotypical refers to the conventional way our brains would be wired, neurodivergence highlights that there's no one right way to think, learn, or interact. Today we're going to explore how these differences shape our perceptions, influence our social interactions, and even affect our views on larger societal issues. Whether you consider yourself neurodivergent or neurotypical, this conversation is for you. It's all about embracing the diverse ways in which we all experience the world and recognizing that these differences are not only normal, they're a vital part of what makes our society so vibrant and innovative. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference between being neurodivergent and being neurotypical? The term neurotypical describes individuals whose brain functions align with what's considered the standard or conventional way of processing information. In contrast, neurodivergent simply means that your brain operates differently, not deficiently. It's not about being broken or disordered, it's about variation. Imagine it like this: if every brain were a computer, the neurotypical brain would be running on one operating system, while the neurodivergent brain might be running on a different one. Both systems have their own strengths and limitations, but neither is inherently superior. They're just different. One key point to remember is that neurodivergence exists on a spectrum. No two experiences are identical. Each person's cognitive profile is unique. For instance, someone with ADHD might find that their mind is incredibly creative and spontaneous, but they might also struggle with sustained focus in traditional work environments. Similarly, an autistic person might have a remarkable attention to detail and a deep passion for specific interests, while also finding everyday social interactions challenging. By understanding these distinctions, we can start to appreciate that what's often labeled as atypical is simply another way of being. It's crucial for us to recognize these differences without judgment and to see the value in diverse ways of thinking and interacting with the world. I hope this helps break down and clarify what neurodivergence really is: a vibrant spectrum of human diversity that enriches our communities and challenges us to rethink what normal really means. For many neurodivergent individuals, sensory processing is experienced in a way that is remarkably different from what would be considered typical. Imagine walking into a room where the hum of a fluorescent light, the murmur of conversation, and even the subtle whir of the fan combine into an overwhelming symphony. For some, this might just be background noise, but for others, it can be an intense sensory experience, even overwhelming at times. This heightened sensitivity means that details we might easily overlook become vivid parts of one's experience. It's like having an internal high-definition camera that picks up on textures, sounds, and colors with extraordinary clarity. This can lead to unique strengths such as remarkable attention to detail or the ability to notice nuances in art, music, or even human behavior that others might miss. However, it's important to note that this heightened awareness can also be a double-edged sword. What might be a beautiful sunrise for one person could be an overwhelming display of light and color for somebody else. Sensory overload is a real challenge. It's when the sheer volume or intensity of sensory input becomes too much to handle, leading to stress and discomfort. But there's more than just sensory perception at play. Neurodivergence often influences cognitive perceptions as well. Different wiring can mean that problems are approached from unique angles. Where a neurotypical mind might follow a well-trodden pattern to solve a problem, a neurodivergent mind might leap off in a completely different direction, offering innovative solutions and creative insights. This alternative processing isn't about being wrong or inadequate, it's simply another way of interacting with the world. Scientific research has shown that many neurodivergent individuals bring novel problem solving strategies and creative thinking skills to the table. Attributes that can be incredibly valuable in everything from artistic endeavors to complex scientific research. So, whether it's the ability to see patterns in what seems like chaos, or the capacity to connect desperate ideas in ways that lead to breakthroughs, neurodivergent perspectives remind us that there isn't a single correct way to experience or interpret the world. Each way, whether heightened or differently tuned, adds to the rich tapestry of the human experience. Let's shift our focus to how neurodivergence influences social interactions. For many neurodivergent individuals, navigating everyday social situations can feel like trying to decode an entirely different language, one where the rules are unspoken and the cues can be both subtle and overwhelming. Consider this. While many of us instinctively pick up on facial expressions or tone of voice, some neurodivergent individuals might interpret these signals differently or even miss them entirely. For example, someone on the autistic spectrum might not make eye contact in the way that society expects, not because they're disinterested, but because their focus is elsewhere or their way of processing visual information differs. Similarly, a person with ADHD might find that their conversations are more spontaneous and rapid, which can sometimes be misinterpreted as impulsivity or lack of focus. This isn't about one way being better than the other, it's simply a difference in processing. Neurodivergent individuals often bring unique strengths to social interactions, such as deep empathy, innovative problem solving, and a willingness to see things from perspectives that others might overlook. However, these differences can lead to misunderstandings in social settings that are designed with a neurotypical framework in mind. Imagine attending a social event where small talk is the norm. For someone who processes information more deeply, these seemingly superficial exchanges might feel both draining and unsatisfying, creating an internal conflict between wanting to connect and feeling misunderstood. On the flip side, those who are neurodivergent might also form incredibly strong bonds with individuals who appreciate their authentic selves. Bonds built on genuine understanding rather than conforming to social expectations. There's also the challenge of interpreting social cues. In a fast paced conversation, the subtleties, like a raised eyebrow or a brief pause, might be missed or misinterpreted. This can lead to feelings of isolation or anxiety, as the individual struggles to keep up with the flow of the conversation. Yet it's important to remember that these different communication styles are not a deficit, they're just that, they're different. What's essential here is fostering environments where diverse communication styles are not only accepted but celebrated. Whether it's in workplaces, schools, or social settings, acknowledging that there's no single right way to interact can pave a way for more inclusive and empathetic communities. As we continue our conversation, think about the last time that you felt misunderstood in a social setting. Now imagine how that might feel amplified if your way of communicating was constantly at odds with the expected norm. Recognizing these differences can be the first step towards building bridges of understanding where everyone's way of engaging is valued. Now, let's broaden our view and explore how a neurodivergent lens shapes our perspective on the larger societal issues around us. First, consider how alternative worldviews come into play. For many neurodivergent individuals, the way that they interpret societal norms, authenticity, and everyday structures like work, education, and relationships differs significantly from the conventional narrative. Where society might see rigid hierarchies or standardized processes, a neurodivergent mind might spot opportunities for creativity and innovative problem solving. For example, traditional work environments often prioritize conformity and routine, but neurodivergent thinkers might thrive when given the freedom to approach challenges from unique angles, suggesting fresh solutions to enriched problems. This isn't just about individual preferences, it's about how these diverse perspectives can challenge and even reshape systemic issues. When neurodivergent voices are heard, they can expose inefficiencies or injustices that might otherwise be overlooked. Their unique cognitive styles can lead to a deeper questioning of the way things are done and inspire alternative approaches that can benefit everyone. Over the past few years, there's been a growing movement towards embracing neurodivergency in various sectors. Workplaces, schools, and even media are beginning to recognize the value that diverse minds bring to the table. Representation matters. When neurodivergent individuals share their stories, it challenges outdated stereotypes and pushes for more inclusive policies. We're seeing policy shifts and initiatives aimed at not only accommodating, but celebrating these differences. This cultural shift is gradually transforming institutions, fostering environments where everyone can contribute in ways that suit their unique strengths. I've had the privilege of hearing firsthand accounts from neurodivergent individuals who have navigated these challenges and used their distinct viewpoints to drive change. A friend of mine once redesigned the standard workflow for their position where they worked, and by questioning the standard way of doing things, made it more flexible and productive for everyone. Actions like this remind us that when we value diverse perspectives, we're not just being inclusive, we're tapping into a wellspring of innovation that can lead to meaningful societal progress. In this light, viewing societal issues with the neurodivergence lens isn't just about highlighting differences, it's about recognizing how these differences can illuminate alternative paths forward. It challenges us to rethink established norms and build systems that are not only more equitable, but also more dynamic and responsive to change. As we move forward, let's keep in mind that every perception adds a vital piece to the puzzle of our shared human experience. Embracing neurodivergency means embracing a richer, more complex understanding of the world. A world where every voice contributes to a bigger picture. Now that we've explored how neurodivergence shapes perception, societal interactions, and our view of society at large, I want to take a moment to share some personal reflection that brings these concepts to life. For me, embracing neurodivergence isn't just an abstract idea, it's a lived experience. I myself am overwhelmed by everyday social situations. The constant barrage of sensory inputs and subtle social cues often leaves me feeling like I was missing a part of every conversation. I watch others effortlessly navigate these moments, and I used to wonder if there was something inherently wrong with me because of that. But over time, I came to understand that these different ways of experiencing the world weren't a flaw. It was a unique perspective that had its own set of strengths. I recall one particular instance where I was in a group discussion. While many were focused on surface level chatter, I found myself deeply drawn to the underlying emotions and unspoken thoughts. That day, a friend pulled me aside and said, "I love how you see things, like you're reading between the lines." It was a very small moment, but it helped me see that what I considered a challenge was, in fact, a powerful ability to connect with a deeper current of a conversation. I'm not alone in this. I've spoken to several neurodivergent individuals who share similar journeys. One described how their sensitivity to sensory details once made everyday environments feel chaotic, but it also unlocked an incredible creativity and an ability to notice beauty in the smallest details. Another shared that while navigating social cues can be tricky, it also means they engage in conversations with a genuine curiosity and depth that many might miss. These stories, mine, theirs, and perhaps even yours, are reminders that neurodivergence is not about being broken or lesser, it's about having a different operating system that brings unique strengths, insights, and creative solutions to the table. Our varied experiences challenge the narrow definitions of what it means to communicate, to feel, and to interact with the world. I invite you to reflect on your own experience. Think about a time when what set you apart actually became your greatest strength. Embracing these moments can transform our understanding of ourselves and, in turn, enrich the communities we are a part of. There are a number of pervasive stereotypes out there. For instance, one common myth is that neurodivergent individuals are either exceptionally gifted, think of the savant narrative, or that they're socially inept and unable to function in everyday life. The truth is, neurodivergence covers a vast spectrum of experiences. Just as every person is unique, so are the strengths and challenges associated with being neurodivergent. Not everyone with ADHD is a creative genius, and not every autistic person struggles with social interaction. The reality is far more nuanced. Another misconception is that neurodivergence is a deficit or something that needs to be fixed. This view suggests that there's something inherently wrong with a brain that can process information differently from what society deems typical. But what we're really looking at is diversity, a range of different ways to think, learn, and perceive the world. These differences aren't flaws, they're variations that contribute to the richness of the human experience. Some people also believe that neurodivergent traits are isolated issues, ignoring how they interact with the world built for neurotypical norms. When we label behaviors without understanding the context, we risk creating environments that don't accommodate these differences. For example, a classroom or workplace designed with only one type of learner in mind isn't just inconvenient for neurodivergent individuals, it's fundamentally exclusionary. It's also important to address the idea that neurodivergence automatically means a person is less capable of empathy, creativity, or leadership. On the contrary, many neurodivergent individuals bring a depth of empathy, innovative problem solving skills, and a unique perspective to the table, qualities that are increasingly recognized as invaluable in today's diverse and complex society. By challenging these narratives, we can shift our focus from trying to normalize neurodivergence to celebrating the variety of human experience. It's about reframing the narrative. Instead of asking how neurodivergent people can fit into a rigid mold, we should be asking how our society can expand its understanding to create spaces where all kinds of minds can thrive. As we continue this conversation, remember that debunking these myths isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's a step towards creating a more inclusive and empathetic community. In our final segment, we'll wrap up looking at what embracing this diversity means for each of us and how we can all contribute to a more understanding world. We've journeyed through what neurodivergency means, explored how it shapes our perceptions, social interactions, and even our views on society, and debunked some long-held myths along the way. At the heart of all of this is a powerful idea: every mind is unique, and it's this diversity that enriches our world. Embracing neurodivergence means acknowledging that there isn't just one right way to think, feel, or experience life. Instead, it's about celebrating the myriad ways our brains work and recognizing that these differences can lead to innovation, empathy, and creativity. When we open our minds to a broader spectrum of the human experience, we can see that what we once thought was normal is just one piece of a larger mosaic. Our workplaces, communities, and social structures thrive when every perspective is welcomed and valued. It's not simply about tolerance, it's about actively creating spaces where every way of thinking is seen as an asset. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a call to action. Take what we've discussed and use it to foster inclusivity in your own life. Whether that means challenging your own assumptions, advocating for more inclusive spaces at work or school, or simply engaging in open, empathetic conversations, every effort counts. Thank you for joining me in our exploration of neurodivergency. I hope our conversation today inspires you to see the beauty in our differences and to recognize that every mind contributes something vital to our collective experience. Like always, I'd encourage you to share this episode with someone. You can always find me on TikTok with the username AnotherBrokenDad or the account at BrokenMedia1984. You can email us at brokenmedia1984@gmail.com or comment on this episode. Whatever way, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember, every mind matters.